We're here to do our first podcast.
I don't know. I really, honest to God, I don't know what a podcast is. I swear to God. What the fuck is a podcast?
Turn on your freaking computer, man.
Yeah, I think
Welcome to the 90s.
It's Battlestar Galactica meets Capeland days.
I thought it was like, I don't know. I always thought it was something that came on your iPod. Does it come on your iPod?
It could.
It could. I think
conceivably come on your iPod.
I'm not really sure, actually.
Like, who's listening to us now?
I don't know. I'm not sure who's listening.
Millions or nobody. Hard to say.
The important thing is we do something. So, So why don't we just all get in the bathtub, relax.
I have to say, I'm not bullshitting. I'm enjoying it so far.
Yeah, this is enjoyable.
Like, what do people want to have on our podcast?
They want the inner Great Big Sea, man. They want to get behind the scenes, to find the dirt, the real people behind the facade that we've so carefully created.
Well,
that could be a bad idea, no?
You mean to say, like, this facade we've created where we sit around and talk about music and drink all the time? That illusion that we've created for people.
Okay, all right. Well, given there is some willing suspension of disbelief involved here in this project.
All beer with animals on it is better beer, I think.
What's that Indian beer with the
tiger?
No, kingfisher. I'd have to say the kingfisher.
It's a bird.
It's not it's still an animal. I mean, technically.
Grasshopper.
Grasshopper's good beer.
Is an
magpie.
Insect? Is an insect an animal?
Calgary beers.
No.
What? Yes, it is.
No, it doesn't have any lungs or anything, man. I mean, you gotta have lungs to be an animal.
Oh, Jesus, Bob. There's lots of fellas that do got no lungs.
They had lungs. They started with lungs.
Be a requirement.
Insects have lungs, man. They have to have lungs. You can drown. They drown.
They just
don't have noses.
Fish don't have lungs either, right? They're not animals, you know.
But do insects have gills? Like fish have gills.
No, they just breathe through like their bodies. It just comes in and out.
Fish are animals.
I think
fish, man.
We're all animals, aren't we? Like, I mean, we're all animals. Everything that moves. I guess if you're not a plant, you're an animal.
That's my vote.
Do plants have lungs?
No, I'm sure they don't.
They photosynthesize.
I know what you're saying. But there's different species and different categories of animal. Like a reptile, for example, or an insect, or a bird, are all members of the animal family. That's my argument.
Yes, whereas a fish, for example, isn't a member of the animal family.
Well, I would say that fish is a member of the animal family, just like a reptile is, or just like a bird is.
Well, a reptile has lungs, sure.
Does a fish feel pain when you put a hook in the bites them?
I suspect that. They never seem that happy to people.
People say it doesn't hurt them.
People say that lobsters don't feel it when you boil them alive.
I don't
which is complete bullshit.
Yeah, they're banging away in the pot at the top of the pot, man. It's very uncomfortable.
It's not good. It's not good.
So is this
5 minutes? I hate it.
Is this the way podcasts are? All the podcasts like this?
I think I listen to some podcasts, and I really don't see how this would be way out there. I feel like we're doing a good podcast. Do you think we're doing?
I'm totally satisfied with this podcast.
Who in the would listen to this bull?
Well, you should be careful. Like, you don't want to curse.
That's a great way. No, come on. That's a great way to end the podcast segment. Who in the would listen to this?
We have to beat that out.
My name is Captain Kidd. As I sailed, oh, my name is Captain Kidd. As I sailed, my name is Captain Kidd, and God's laws I did forbid, and most wickedly I did as I said.
We have a new record called The Hard and Easy. We should talk about that because, according to the definition of podcast, people at home want to hear the real truth behind it. Want to hear the real truth behind The Hard and Easy, Bob?
What do you mean by the real truth? Do you mean the dull details of the recording, or the inspired nonsense we've made up about its?
Put it this way: I think there's a million interviews going to happen in the next 2 or 3 weeks about what's going to happen.
Let's get our story straight.
And we're going to say stuff like,
okay, no,
and they're all true. They're all going to say stuff like, there's lots of great songs in Newfoundland and blah blah blah, and that's true. And there's lots of, we're proud to be from a place that has music in its own backyard, which is true. But what's one thing that you would never say in an interview that you'd say in a podcast? What did you hate about making this record?
I'm just going to walk over here and pull these, see all these sheets here, lads? We're podcasting to you live from the studio, by the way. And I'm looking through all this stuff.
What did you hate about making the record?
The thing I hated the most was the fact that it took so long, and a lot of the initial energy got sapped along the way. And even though we got it back at the end, there was a period in the middle where it felt like we were going around and round in circles, as opposed to, if there was any vision of this that made sense, was like, let's do a quick and simple record that's fun to make and not get bogged down in the process the way we might have been guilty of in the past. And for the most part, we avoided it, but there was definitely a point there where...
it didn't take so long so much as it happened over such a long period of time.
Yes.
It was like, because we were doing it while we were touring.
There's three, usually we have one master sheet that says done, you finish your vocal, done. We have 3 sets of multiple sheets hanging from the wall. Now, why is that? Is that the same thing?
We kept changing our minds.
Disorganized or what?
I think they were from different sessions and different times.
Yeah, because we revisited this project several times.
Yeah. Well, we kept changing our minds, too, about which songs we were recording and then who was singing them and how we were playing them.
Shit, here's the original list. There's a bunch of stuff here that we didn't even get into. Great Lobster Boil.
Great Lobster Boil did not make the record.
Sadly.
A tale of great slaughter in boiling hot water with lobsters that came from the streets of Belle Isle. Excellent song.
Never got to that.
That's really the only good part, though. I mean, that's kind of...
So we have work
to do. Come on. They were young ones with pliers. They thought there were wires.
That's a good line.
What is Pork in the Cupboard?
Pork in the Cupboard is the thing from the Hatching Matching.
Oh, right. Totally different project. All right. Yeah. So it's all kind of bled together here.
Le Bon Vin didn't make the record?
No. Didn't get there. Didn't get that finished. Well, I guess after 2 years, it was probably time to say, no, we're done now. Yeah. We should move along. Anyway, I like it. I like the cover a lot.
Mm-hmm. I actually enjoyed this record more than any record we've made in a long time. I thought that we had a lot of fun making it, which certainly I can't say we had a lot of fun when we were making Something Beautiful. Something Beautiful.
What?
I thought we made a decent record, but can we honestly say that was fun?
So is it us you don't like, or is it?
No, I mean the process.
I had fun. You just hated the producer.
I didn't hate him. I didn't like him. I didn't hate him.
Michael Philip Woya Woya. That guy?
Hoover Hoover. I liked him.
You liked him? Really good. You saw him as a challenge, I think. We just saw him as a...
he was a great
as an extraterrestrial.
Well, he would consider that a compliment.
I think so.
He would.
He's undoubtedly a smart guy. His days are longer than ours. Right?
That 25-hour day is very hard to reconcile yourself with.
Oh God, you could go to the pub twice in the time he was playing on the drum track. No, it was good. It was good to have Murray and Chris and stuff. I have good, fond memories of that, except for the
My favorite song is River Driver.
I was just
because it's just us singing. And I'd love to do a record one time where it's just us singing.
An a cappella.
All a cappella record.
New horizons are opening even as we speak. Yeah. Grab the notebook, Scott.
You know what we should do?
All a cappella album.
For those of you out in Podland, by the way,
down by the mill, Old Mill Street.
Remember the Buster guys gave us the Beach Boys Pet Sounds a cappella. Maybe we should share that with the greater audience. I don't know if they... I don't have it here now.
I'm sure we're not allowed because it's bootleg, but we're going to do it anyway. It's a podcast.
Mm-hmm.
It's the new frontier of free music.
We'll find it.
Digging it. I don't know. Anyway, I'm glad for the record, and you know what I'm most glad about is that it exists at all. We got one more record to go, I think, to have 10 records. 10, like... We have how many records do we have? Anyway?
How many Great Big Sea records do you need?
Depends on your definition. More. Oh, we need more.
Well,
how many have you got, Scott?
How many
Great Big Sea records? Yeah, you're listening to Scott Hammond from Gearbox.
I believe there's 4 or 5 at my house.
Really?
You lying cocksucker! You fucking brown nosed. You never had a Great Big Sea.
You can see the influence on the Gearbox records there, Alan.
Oh, of course. No, I'm just trying to keep my job, guys.
For the wind was on her quarter, the engine's working free. There's not another whaler that sails the Arctic Sea. Can beat the old Helena, you need not try me, sons. We challenged all of great and small, from Dundee to St. John's. Art Jackman set his canvas, fair weather got up steam.
One topic I was interested in addressing for a podcast would be the idea of having a yak about the... some of the guys that we got songs off for this newest record, just to go for the crass commercial aspect of the whole podcast thing and try to
talk about our own selves.
Well, yeah,
who are they? Like Lem Snow, you mean?
Well, I never met Lem. I heard some funny stories about him, but some of the songs, all those songs on the album came from somewhere. And there's one of the things that people talk.
It is interesting.
We always get asked in interviews, we start talking about it, and we end up giving a 30-second soundbite, and you never get into it. So what we really want to say is that, all these songs belong to somebody. They all had meaning for somebody.
They were a party favorite for someone.
They remembered them for a reason, and it's not the thousands of songs that got forgotten. It wasn't just, for different reasons. Each of these songs had an association with people, whether in the community or for the singers themselves. And that's the reason they got remembered, they had an association. They meant something to somebody. That's always fascinated me. It's like we're singing these songs in a totally different context for thousands of people who've never been these places, have never heard of these people, and to whom these events are nothing. All they're hearing is kind of the melody and the poetry. But yet for the people who wrote them or remembered them, it was all about they were intensely personal, and by taking them out of that context, have we somehow blown it, have we?
No, geez, no, I haven't blown it at all. As a matter of fact, made it better. It's like, but what it is fascinating, like as the recording artist, if you will, to like sort of to make note of, the fact that for us to sing French Shore, the reason why we sing that song is because we were fans of that song. Not because it had some intensely personal remembrance of ours or whatever, but because we heard someone sing it and we thought it was beautiful. And so our sort of like relationship with that song is completely different than Len Snow's, for example, who I'm sure wrote it because he was moved by the actual story that's in the song.
What did we hear first? Jim Payne, I think.
The first one I ever heard sing was Lem, and it was on the radio. And
who did we like first?
I heard Jim Payne sing it before her, and Jim sang it.
I saw Jim play it live, and I thought that's great.
Oh, it's a wicked song.
Jim's version of that, though, was it sort of had a pleasant nostalgia, but Lem's version of it is kind of sad. He's sort of looking back. The song, part of it is about
he's wishing that he was that guy.
I think he's wishing he was that young again. You know what I mean? That's the sadness in the songs. Not so much the discovery about sex as the fact that.
Yeah.
There was a time in my life when this was so, everything was so new and exciting to me, and it's not that way
it's
anymore.
Wicked. It's brilliant. I love it. I love the fact that, like you say, and I think even he kind of, when he was writing the song, wouldn't let himself get sad enough, so he put that odd little sex thing in it.
Yeah.
But I think you're right. It's about how much you wish he was, 15 again, and it's cool.
If I knew then what I know now.
I'd be banging the cook.
I don't know.
Somebody wrote Harvard LeCoux too, right?
Harvard LeCoux was even darker, man.
Well, like I say, what we always loved about that song was the dude in it, who's as my Australian buddies would say, a bit of a rooter. A rooter. That was
like good root.
A root, yeah. And they always talk about those little car trucks, like a car front, truck back. In Australia, they're called utes. Believe it or not, the El Caminos or whatever are called utes. So there's a song called "Rootin' the Ute."
As in the back of the ute.
Yeah, okay. Rootin' in the ute. And anyway, this fella obviously shagging around on his missus and blames his whole, the fact that he gets caught, he blames it on everybody but himself. So,
he's definitely remorseless.
The moral of his story is not, don't pack around on your missus. The moral of the story is, when you're packing around on your missus, stay clear of your buddies.
Yeah, they're gonna screw it up for you.
Well, that's a common thing though. I've run into situations like that. And I'm speaking personally, of course, but I don't want to implicate anyone else.
I gotta go, boys. I love you, man. I'm sorry.
It is cool though about like what you said about all the songs being sort of personal for somebody at some point, whereas for us we're fans of them, but neither of those songs necessarily, because we didn't write them or whatever, has any sort of personal attachment to them other than we love the music and love the songs. But somebody was there, when
well, there's a folklore
about Charlie Horse. There were guys that we know whose fathers were in that car.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's true. That happened. And that trip around the bay happened. And Shave was a real guy. And And like,
and that was a hit song, though. Your father knew.
Man, it's like that whole notion.
Jukebox favorite here. And
bullshit about it sometimes in the press, but the whole notion that, like, you know,
if anyone has a 45 of this, send it in, please.
Well, like the whole notion that, like, you know, that's a cool song. Yeah, it's all well and good, and that's good enough for me. I'd sing it if it's just a cool song. Yeah. That really happened. Like, that's a real thing, and about real. It's like Jakey's Gin when we recorded Jakey's Gin. Like,
but
most people probably didn't realize Jakey's a real guy.
Oh, he's a real.
Jake Summerton was a real boozer and a real bootlegger. Like, he actually existed, you know, and he's sons and still walk around the streets today. Like, and he actually did sell, you know, booze for icons. You know, he did. You know,
it never explains that in the song actually, but that's what he did. Yeah, in order to justify being a bootlegger, he had a little store selling religious, you know, like statues of Mary and.
That's what's so perverse about that
song.
That's what makes it like...
So it's even darker, right? He's
committing bad.
A serious scene, you know, particularly in the 1940s or 30s whenever this took place.
Yeah. Let's sell rum for Jesus. Come on. Bring it on.
There's your bottle of...
in the name of the Father, and the Rum, and the Holy Spirit.
So that's it then?
That's the end. That's totally anticlimactic.
That's the end?
Is that your podcast? We should do more.
Is that the...
I'm not doing this again.
We should do one. We should do some more.